Welcome to Tutor Spectra. This is a tutoring video designed to give you a taste of what my standard bronze lessons are like. My student is called Chimaobi, and she agreed to have our brief 20-minute lesson recorded for this purpose. Hello, Chimaobi.
Hi, Jerome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's good to finally meet on this platform.
Wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
Now, I hear, Chimaobi, that you wanted to work on isotopes today. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what sort of questions did you have?
Just basically the fundamentals, like the basics of isotope. I kind of understand it in theory, but I'm trying to get it in context, in real practice. Knowing that I have the general gist that isotopes are mainly various forms of the same element. How does this happen? How do I grasp it, in reality? If you could just put me through that. Basically, what I'm looking for is to apply it to my studies. So if I get the fundamentals, I'll be able to stretch it to the understanding I'm trying to get in other things.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm thinking the best place to start off when understanding isotopes is the periodic table. Now, I've got a photo that I can share with you of the periodic table, and I think this should come in handy for us.
Okay, so let's do that, yeah.
Yeah, just sharing my screen with you now. Okay, how's that? Do you see my screen, Chimaobi?
Yes, I can see the, yes. It's a big screen, the periodic table. I can see that, yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so now let's look at helium then, this big element in the middle, as that will be the most clear to use as an example. So Chimaobi, can you tell me what you know about helium just by looking at that image there?
From this image, I can see the atomic number as 2. I can see the atomic mass, 4.003. Of course, the chemical name is helium with element represented for He. So is it basically what I see you want me to tell you, or what I know about it?
Yeah, so you say that the atomic number is 2. You're very right. But what does that mean in real terms? Do you have any more insight into what that means?
Yes, I think I know what that means. It means that the number of protons is 2.
Exactly. So yeah, so you've got then 2 protons in your helium atom. What does that say about the number of electrons?
2 as well.
Okay, and here's the important question. Can you tell now how many neutrons are in, well, most helium atoms?
The neutron, it's meant to be neutral, that I know. Neutral.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So based off of the, do we need to draw out the structure of an atom, Chimaobi, or have you got that sort of down already?
I think I have that sorted out already. The atomic structure, I can draw that, yes.
Wonderful. So we won't bother drawing that out then now. We'll just think, okay, looking at this atomic mass then, what does the atomic mass mean?
Kind of means the mass. You mean the atomic mass? Or okay, the atomic mass looks like the sum total of the proton and electron.
Close, close.
Neutron.
Actually, yes,
Proton,
exactly.
proton and neutron, yes. Yes, that's the atomic mass.
So why do you think that is, Chimaobi? Why would it be the protons and the neutrons, but not the electrons and the atomic mass?
Because the electron are on the subshell, they could be lost or gained, but the proton and the neutron are the basic makeup of the atom, and that's what the atom is. It doesn't change or shouldn't change.
Yes, that's very close. That's actually so vital. It's true that the proton and neutron are much more unchangeable in this helium atom, for example. However, it's not the reason that that they're writing here that the atomic mass is 4.003. It's not the reason why only protons and neutrons are included in the atomic mass. Now, if you think about the structure of the atom, and particularly the masses and the sizes of the protons, the neutrons, electrons relative to each other, can you think why you wouldn't include electrons in this equation if you're trying to figure out the mass of one atom of helium?
Well, I think the electrons are quite vulnerable. They change relative to whatever they're in contact with and relative to the stability of the atomic configuration. So if you've got 8 electrons, which is pretty stable, it wouldn't lose or gain, rather it could form a tight bonding. If you have 7, it would gain. If you have 1, it's more likely to lose. So I think it's quite vulnerable, and it depends on where it is in solution, in air. But the proton and the neutron are stable because they kind of make up the core of the atom. So it wouldn't make sense for the electron to count as part of the atomic mass.
You are so close. In all of that, it's true that like the proton and the neutron are the atom, really. But the reason that they are the only things included in the atomic mass is because they are so much more massive than an electron. If we're looking at one atom of helium, we're assuming that it has both of its 2 electrons. We're assuming that it has its 2 protons, and we're assuming that it has 2 neutrons, although that's not always the case, and I'll explain why in a second. But as for why the atomic mass is just the protons and the neutrons, it's because the protons and the neutrons, well, 1 proton and 1 neutron, they equal the same mass. But the electron is 2,000 times smaller than the mass of a proton and a neutron.
Mm.
So because it's so small, it's just discounted from the atomic mass, because it may as well not be there. It's that electrons are that much smaller than protons.
And what is the mass number?
Now, the mass number or the atomic mass, they're both the same thing.
Oh, are they the same? Okay, atomic number is different from atomic mass, I see. So the atomic mass is the mass number.
Exactly that.
which is
Exactly.
the same as the total, the sum of the proton and the neutron.
Exactly. So that's really important information, because when we're looking at isotopes, well, in this case, usually you wouldn't do this with helium. Have you ever heard of like the isotope carbon-12 or carbon-13?
That's exactly what I'm dealing with at the moment, carbon-13.
Okay, maybe then, now that we've dealt with the basics of what these numbers mean in the periodic table, we'll go on to carbon. So can you see carbon now?
Yes, I can see carbon, yeah.
Okay.
After
So
boron.
exactly, just after boron to the right. Now we're going to figure out what carbon-12 and carbon-13 mean. So, do you see how many protons you have in a carbon in the nuclei of a carbon atom, Chimaobi?
Here, I'll see if I can expand my screen so that I'll see properly.
Okay.
So the atomic number is 6 and the atomic mass is 12.612.
Yes, yeah, sorry, you might not be able to see that perfectly, but it was 12.011.
Okay.
But I know that you're looking at the right numbers, so that is amazing, Chimaobi. You've totally understood what we just said about helium and applied it perfectly to carbon, so well done.
Thank you.
Now, when it says carbon, the carbon's atomic mass is 12.011, that, I mean, it's a strange number to have if we think that carbon's atomic mass is its protons plus its neutrons.
Yeah.
Don't you find that would be strange to have a decimal point number like that?
I do find it strange, actually.
If you don't mind me asking, why do you find it strange?
The neutron, are they meant to have decimal places?
No, exactly. It doesn't make sense because neutrons are the same mass as the proton. So if you're adding together the masses of the protons and the neutrons, it should always be a whole number.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason that it's 12.011 rather than just 12 or just 13 is because actually not all carbon atoms are the same. If you remember, the defining feature of a carbon atom or any element is its number of protons. So any atom with 6 protons in its nucleus, that is carbon. However, most carbon atoms, whilst most carbon atoms have 6 neutrons in their nucleus, making 12 overall, some carbon atoms have 7 neutrons, making them carbon-13 isotopes. I don't know if that's starting to make any sense to you there.
Yes. So, although we see from the atomic periodic table that carbon's got 6 protons in its nucleus, but sometimes we find carbon with 7 protons.
Exactly. So what would you call a carbon atom with 6 neutrons in its nucleus?
Carbon-12, because it's 6 plus 6, carbon-12.
Brilliant. And finally, just to recap, what would you call a carbon atom with 7 neutrons in its nucleus?
That'll be 6 plus 7, and that's carbon 13.
Brilliant. Now, those two substances, carbon 12 is an isotope, carbon 13 is a different isotope. So that is the fundamentals of what an isotope is, and it's why the atomic mass of carbon is 12.011, because it's actually 12.011 is the average atomic mass of all carbon atoms in the universe, all carbon atoms that have been measured, at least on Earth. So that's like a mean average. So just to test that you understood what I just said there, looking at the average atomic mass of the carbon atom, which carbon isotope do you think is more abundant? Is it carbon 12 or carbon 13?
Well, if the average of the mass, 12.001, is tilting towards 12, seems to me 12 is more abundant.
Much more abundant, exactly. That's perfect, Chimaobi. So how are you feeling then, coming out of the other side of that question? Do you feel like you understand the fundamentals of what an isotope is now?
I do get it very well. The fundamentals in terms of numbers, how they fit into the periodic table. I know this lesson today is designed to be quite short, and I'm wondering if in our next session we could delve more into how carbon goes from 12 to 13, or does it just happen randomly? What does it tell me? If I'm making a measurement and I see more of carbon 13, what does that really mean? I understand we don't have to go through that this lesson because it's beyond the scope for today. But if you wouldn't mind, if we could cover this in our next session, that would be fab.
Wonderful, wonderful, Chimaobi. That's so nice. I'm glad that that little brief session made sense. Are you okay that I've recorded it just so I can use it as part of my my promotion of my Facebook page?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jerome. Thank you.
It's brilliant. Okay. So I will see you soon, Chimaobi. It was brilliant to meet you.
Thank you.
I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that was 20 minutes tutoring with Chimaobi. Note that all my lessons last for 1 hour, including bronze lessons. More information about my services can be found on this channel, on my Facebook page, and on my Tutor Hunt page, where you can book your first lesson with me. All information in the description below.